Okay, hi guys, my name's PK, and here I have Andrew Milevsky, who's a client of the Property Investment Accelerator. And this episode, we'll be going through the property that Andrew bought, why he did the course and didn't use a buyer's agent that he previously did, again, how he bought in a super hot market, and he'll be sharing with you his top tips on how to buy interstate high growth property with high yield. So if that's something you guys are interested, carry on watching. Andrew, thank you so much we've already been chatting, but thank you for making time.
No worries, PK. Thank you.
And Andrew's got 3 properties now. So we'll start from the start. And Andrew, if you could just share like your property journey so far, like how did you get those 3 properties, in just kind of a background story for everyone who's watching.
Yeah, sure. So basically, originally, first property was just a PPOR, so a place for myself to live in.
Yep.
And yeah, once I purchased that place, then I was kind of looking for an investment property, I guess. And yeah, it was just started looking on YouTube and looking just for any sort of information on what avenue I can go down and how to purchase it, because didn't really have much sort of knowledge, I guess, in that particular area. Like I knew the basics, I guess, don't buy maybe a unit or stuff like that. But when it comes to I knew there was some sort of method or formula out there somewhere. There's people, obviously successfully doing this and moving forward, I guess. But yeah, that's sort of what I was after. And I ended up going with a buyer's agent for the next purchase. Yeah, and even sort of selecting the buyer's agent, there was a lot of questions that I had, and there was a lot of buyer's agents out there, sort of thing, and they were all sort of pushing their own, I guess their own, not sort of market, but I mean, some buyer's agents had particular properties in particular states that they were only sort of buying. Other buyer's agents worked sort of maybe nationally, sort of thing. So, and then there was your videos as well, I guess, PK, as well, that I was watching at the same time. And yeah, I think maybe one of the buyer's agents that I did go with sort of was resonated with a little bit of your videos. They were buying interstate, they were buying multiple sort of states, and it wasn't all capital sort of city purchases, regional properties, and that kind of made sense to me. I guess once you see the numbers, once you see the deals, it was hard not to. Well, it just made so much sense to have like a positive cash flow property, whether it's in a capital city or whether it's regional. If it's performing, it's performing. So it's kind of the track that we went down. And
so like, maybe this is a cheeky question, but like, what did that buyer's agent think or say? I'm not sure if you had a phone call with him when it came to your 3rd property and you chose to do the course and you bought through the course as opposed to using them again. Like, did you have that conversation, or you kind of were like, it's awkward?
No, I didn't go that far. I did call him though, and I had a bit of a chat just to see, like, I was just trying to maybe get out of him if they were still buying in those areas, because he did actually give me a few property options, and they were in different suburbs. And I was thinking to myself, right, I've got these locations, that's all I really need him for. But in actual fact, I did need more information than that. That wasn't just enough for me to go out and do it on my own. I thought at that time anyway. So yeah, I did call him the second time around, and just to gauge where the property prices were, how much sort of I would need to do another deal with him. And yeah, I just sort of felt him out a little bit that way, and then that was it. So I was like, that's enough for me. So
Fair enough. And so let's talk about your property now. So you bought a property for $415,000. It's in Perth, in a suburb. We're not talking Rockingham here. We're talking just south of Perth proper. And $450 a week is the market rental appraisal. You're based in South Australia. You're sparky. You might go over there and do a bit up to it, maybe $5,000, $10,000 worth of stuff, but it's not really needed anyway. Like, what are your thoughts? You've done this all by yourself now. You were lacking confidence. I remember so many emails, we were exchanging, and all that kind of thing. Like, how did you overcome that confidence barrier? Did the course help you with that? And I think, like, what can people take away, or what advice can you give to people who are also a bit like you? They've might have already bought through a buyer's agent, but they didn't learn anything. They have a property, great, but now they actually want to equip themselves with, real confidence, real knowledge, real education, real know-how. How did you do it, and what would be your advice to other people?
Well, the course definitely lays everything out. You like the minute you start doing it, you realize this is it. This is all the answers to all the questions that I had, sort of thing. So that alone, I guess, installed a fair bit of confidence. But then I guess once you've completed the course, once you've chosen, you've shortlisted your suburbs, you've done all your due diligence, then sort of it's confidence in yourself. You've got the weekly mentorship calls, and you go through with other investors in there, and they're going through their deals, and it's sort of assuring you that you're on the right path. You're like, where you're going is in the right direction, sort of thing. So that I found that helpful. I guess the chats that we've had also found that helpful. So yeah, well, you're not out in the dark, so to speak, once you're out there looking for properties.
Yeah, nice one. And was there any, like, now that you've kind of done the deal, it's done and dusted, looking back on it, did you feel that it was rocket science? Like, did you feel it was really difficult, or was it just a case of following a process step by step, systematically, and you get your result?
The deal itself was it was quite easy. Do you know what I mean? It was once I secure the deal, that's okay. Once I found the right property and offer got accepted, as far as purchasing the property, that was all pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And so, like, on that point, what would be your advice to people? I mean, it's still a hot market. The media is saying the market is coming down, but we know that the areas that we're buying in, especially places like Perth, the prices are still very strong. Demand is outstripping supply. What would be your advice to people who are DIY investors and they're just kind of like missing out on properties? Maybe they've missed out on one, two, three, four properties, and they might be getting a little bit discouraged. Is there any tips or pieces or gold nuggets of advice that you can give them based on your experience on how they can actually be successful?
I guess just keep at it. Eventually, I guess it's your turn. If the right property's there and you're there at the right time and asking the right questions and have a bit of a rapport, I guess, with the agents that you're dealing with. That's just an extra step closer that you're getting to than other people, I guess. So
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. It, I think one thing that I wanted to ask was, like, the first property you bought through a buyer's agent was interstate. It was in New South Wales. The second one is also interstate in WA. Did you find any difficulty? I mean, you didn't catch any flights or anything. Did you find any difficulty in buying interstate? The fact that you're not there, you're not kind of driving there, you're not seeing or touching the property, in terms of having it inspected, in terms of gaining confidence that it's actually in good nick, it's not going to fall over, it's in a good area. Like,
mm,
did you have any difficulty in that, or was it, once
mm.
again, was it straightforward?
Oh, well, to be first that first investment property purchase, it was a bit, once you got your head around that you're buying, not sight unseen, I guess, but obviously you're not there looking at the house in person. Once you get your head around that, it's okay, but it almost works to you as an advantage, because you may be up against people in the local area that have to go to the open and want to have a look at the place. Whereas if you're able to get your property manager in there before an open, or sometimes during the week, you've already done, you've got the upper hand, so to speak, and you can put an offer in before any opens, before anyone gets there, all from your office, from your house, wherever you are, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the course definitely teaches you what you need to do in that sort of regard, and just follow that, and there's no dramas that I had now.
Yeah, nice.
In that
Nice. Okay.
regard.
And last question then. Last question is, do you regret doing the course? You had, you had to be patient. The property that you bought didn't come the day after you started the course. It was weeks of patiently waiting for the right property to come on, and then, being successful in procuring it and purchasing it. Do you regret not using a buyer's agent? Or do you regret doing the course, or are you happy that you learned, you went through the fire of ordeal, so to speak, the learning process, and got a good result?
Definitely don't regret it. It was enjoyable, and it was, it's good to have that knowledge, whether you're even just if you wanted to buy like a PPR, just looking back at, taking the same sort of steps is definitely, I definitely don't regret it. If anything, I regret not doing it earlier. That's probably one thing. Yeah, I mean, just even picking apart the deal that I did through the buyer's agent. I mean, it ticked a fair few boxes, but knowing what I know now, it probably could have done a little bit better than that. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah.
You live and learn.
You live and learn. That's it.
Also, and actually, just one more question came to mind. I just think I'd ask you, what's your thoughts on interest rates rising? We were talking before how, because interest rates are rising, borrowing capacity is being trimmed. It's coming down a little bit. Positive cash flow isn't as much. Those positive cash flow properties are becoming more neutral or thereabouts. Like, our interest rate rises, you have now 3 properties. Are they causing you to become like a little bit fearful, or like what's the long-term play? What's the game plan with your portfolio going forward?
Look, definitely mindful of the interest rate. You can't not ignore it. It's on every news article and every TV screen at the moment.
Yeah.
But as far as financially, it hasn't really affected too much. I mean, the yields that the properties are achieving is easily covering the rate rises for the time being anyway. And like we were saying, even if it's not, it's more so holding on to that asset. Like, once you've acquired that asset, it's the asset that's doing the heavy lifting, and it's the time as well. So over time, it's just going to get better, really, financially.
Yeah,
So,
no, 100%. 100%. Well, I was saying before that, whether the property is giving you $2,000 positive cash flow or it's costing you $1,000 a year, no one's getting out of the rat race based on $2,000 positive cash flow per property, right?
Exactly. Not unless you got 50 properties, you're not.
No. Yeah, there's not many of those people going around. So the whole game plan is not a secret. So what my clients do, it's what probably thousands of property investors have done over the decades in Australia. You hold those bad boys, those properties for 10, 15 years, whatever the case is. You sell a portion of them, and therefore through that profit, you're able to retire the debt of your existing or the portfolio that you keep. And then you have an unencumbered portfolio, no debt. And then that passive income really shoots up. It goes, that's the kind of passive income that allows you to trim down your working hours or leave entirely. So we're in it for the long term. Interest rates will go up and down, wages will go up and down, recessions will come and go. As I think true property investors, as opposed to speculators, we have to be in it for the long term. And I think that's a great mindset that you have, Andrew. And like I always say, no one cares about your money as much as you do. And no buyer's agent's going to sign their own name on that contract of sale, on that dotted line. So good on you as well for for backing yourself. You're kind of very tenuous at the start there, and maybe some confidence issues, but with the mentorship, and even though you vented a couple of times, it was good that you did. It was good that you reached out to me, and I could kind of hold your hand through it, so to speak. I don't know how much I did, but you deserve all the credit. But no, good on you for doing it.
No, thank you, PK. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thanks for making the time. And guys, hopefully that was useful. I feel that confidence is such a big issue. It was an issue for myself when I started. Obviously, Andrew it was an issue for him. But just like with a bit of education, and maybe the first property will be a little bit, you need some mentoring, but from that point onwards, it will become easier. Like, let me ask you that one. Do you think the next one will be easier than the previous one?
Yeah, 100% easier.
So
Yeah, I mean,
it gets easier.
just going through the whole process on your own this time, you can answer your own questions, and if there's it'll definitely be a bit more streamlined, I think, this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you everyone for watching. There's more than like 70 of these types of interviews. This is real. Like, you can see that Andrew was sharing the warts and all. It's not just intended to be sales and marketing. So like true stories of property investors who are kind of taking the bull by the horn and investing in their own real estate first, in their own brain and their own knowledge. And that is how you create sustainable wealth. So good job, Andrew, and everyone. Thank you for watching. Smash the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, leave them below. Maybe Andrew will help, but I'll definitely answer too. Thanks so much, Andrew.
Thanks, BK.